does have an obligation to at least put in an effort to help. I'm not saying they're going to solve everything, that they have to solve everything, because that's not really an easy job. They have an obligation, though, to make sure that there's at least a budget towards helping people who are in poverty. And they do some of that with the food stamps, with the Medicare and all that stuff. But they really should put in more effort, too, because people can make or break a government.
But at the same time, I've witnessed this because I have a couple family members and stuff like that. It's like when the government does provide that assistance for people, they start slacking, they get lazy, and they depend on this assistance to get them through whatever it is they're going through. And you can't do that. You have to want it for yourself.
I do know people who do take advantage of what the government helps as well. And it is sad to see that there are people living in that they take advantage of this, what the government does, and it goes along with putting minimum wage into living wage, because if that does happen, people will still take advantage of that and be lazy and be like, I'm gonna stay here and I'm gonna be fine here, instead of going to that, being better in life, you know. And it's not the government's fault. I think it's also yourself as well, because it's your own stuff that if you want to go far, you know. But then again, some people might not have that mentality, thinking that, oh, I want to go far in life. Maybe it's the influence of the environment where they live also too. So it is a hard topic to talk about for people.
So is the government wrong then for being cautious and making cuts to it then, so they can avoid this type of thing?
I feel the government should do a little bit more to help out. I mean, I know at times we're stretched thin, our government is at times, but I mean, checks and balances, things have to be cut, things have to be reinstated. I mean, something needs to change.
I feel they play a big role in the poverty level that we have right now. Because I remember the last Right Day we had, they were talking about how much a family would need to make in order to be like, to actually live comfortably. And to me, the number that we came up with through data was a complete joke. Because it was not enough for anybody.
No.
Yeah, I remember that.
For me, and honestly, it was just a complete joke when I saw that number. I was like, this is not enough for a family of 3.
Yeah, I kept getting confused because it was like...
Because if this is exactly what the government thinks we need, then that's what they're going to give us. They don't necessarily realize all of the factors that play into different things in your life.
So I'm not sure if you guys have heard about this, but there is a country, I don't remember, I think it's like Switzerland, where they have the universal budget or something like that, where you do get a paycheck to help go towards like your utilities or paying your house payment or stuff like that. And you get that each month, and that's in addition to what you make in work. So, I mean, that might be a thought that might be pushed in.
It depends on, like what you said, it depends on how much they give us, but also a big part that plays into that is how the people use that money.
That's true.
Yeah.
You can't just use it for anything. You can't just take this money and then go waste it.
Yeah, there has to be priorities.
Right. You need a job. You need another thing to support yourself just in case this doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is it fair that everybody gets the same amount of minimum wage?
Yeah. Well, when I hear that, my first thought is the base idea of communism, how no matter what job you have, you all make that same rate.
Right.
But does that mean that you can't go up? Like, that person, a dropout might be making 15. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy for them. But maybe a college student who has graduated, who has experience, they might start off at 15, but who says that they can't work their way up?
Or
A
find a
dropout
better
might not
job.
have that same opportunity because they won't have the knowledge.
Right.
The reason why I think it is fair is because how are you as a human being going to be mad at a high school dropout for making the same amount as you at the same job at the same starting time? How are you going to get mad because you have no idea what goes on in their life? They could be struggling in ways that you can't even comprehend. And having a set income, no matter what job you enter, I feel like that will help the person. Again, it depends on how they waste, or not the way, how they spend the money. So I think it is fair, because in my opinion, if I see someone struggling and I get mad because they're making the same amount as me, I'm a horrible human being right there.
And one thing you do have to worry about is how will this affect like the job market? For example, like let's say a secretary or a store clerk. Well, the secretary will do more work than the store clerk. However, they'll both be getting the same rate, but the secretary could move up and so could the store clerk. But might seem that more people will then go to become store clerks because there's less work to do and less people go in to be a secretary. So I'm curious how, if that does go through, how that will affect
So are we
our
thinking
economy.
about like 15 as a starting point or as a minimum wage?
It's just like a universal.
Because with how I'm thinking about it being a guaranteed minimum wage, so that no matter where you start, if you're being paid at minimum wage, that's it. That's your min. That's
That's
what
the
you're
lowest
starting.
they can pay you.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I think that's what it's like saying.
and with the job markets, I think it will be affected by the people that enter each job. Obviously, a secretary entering, they have that degree, they have that knowledge, they can go,
Right.
and then if they continue to go higher up in the system, they'll obviously get paid even more than a store clerk. Start at the same job, continuing up, because at the same time, a raise is determined by the employer.
Right.
And why would you waste all that years of training just to be like, oh, I can be lazy and be a store clerk and get the same amount of money as the next person?
Right.
Yet you did like all these years of college and just to be where you want to be. Why not move up?
Right.
Why struggle like the next guy who's being the store clerk, you know?
That's why I kind of see like how it's like a little unfair because it's like you see people they actually want to do something better with their job. They want to like, oh yeah, I'm going to college because that's how I get more money. That's how like I'm getting a better education. I'm having a better job than everybody else who like didn't try to do better for their lives. So it's like that's where I see it's unfair because it's just like everybody like people who actually want to work they'll get that much, but then people who just like, oh, I don't really want to do this. I'll just do a little job just because I get the same amount as everybody else.
Yeah,
But then like
I think that there should be a difference between living wage and minimum wage. Like I can see increasing minimum wage a little bit more than I could see the living wage, and I think people should like aspire to reach that living wage at times. Like I know sometimes it may be tough, but if everybody gets paid that same amount, if you think about it, the price of living may go up too.
That is true.
Yep.
yeah.
So-
My living wage is not going to be the same as someone else's living
Right.
wage because everyone lives in a different way.
And then
And they have different investments, different preferences, and things like that.
And yet at the same time, like, you have to think about it, like, if they were to, you have to think about, like, what are these minimum wage jobs? They're
Right.
not meant to be, like, well, I'm going to stay at this job forever and make this. No, you're supposed to be your starter job. This is where you're starting at so you can move on.
It's where
So
you're supposed
if
to get
you,
your
like,
experience.
say McDonald's were to just raise the wages for everyone, then you never know. Their prices could go up. They'll stop getting consumers, and then their prices, you know, they can't pay anyone. They can't pay everyone. So it's not supposed to be like a lifetime job. It's supposed to eventually move on, depending on your circumstances anyway.
I feel like a minimum wage should be enough to where you can move out of your parents' house comfortably and live on your own, support yourself.
And isn't that a
Just
living
yourself.
wage?
But that-
Like
Or
just yourself,
one person
Not
then?
like
just yourself or a
a family.
significant other. But
Yeah.
a living wage should be you, your significant other, if you have one, and kids if you have some too. So I think minimum wage should just mainly be yourself and possibly another person just to move out of your parents' apartment or parents' house, out of their basement if you want. But I feel like that's how it should be.
Now, are we talking enough to support just you, or are we talking enough minimum wage being enough to support two people?
No,
'Cause if that's
you
the
and
case, then
possibly another person.
right.
so how high would you have to raise minimum wage to support two people?
Well, if both people are working, I feel like between $10 and $15 would possibly be enough, depending on where you decide to live.
Yeah, it depends on
I mean, if
what part of the
There's a lot
city
of
you
factors
live
that
in,
can play
though.
into
right,
it.
and so
Because-
if you, let's say you live in one area and then another person lives in another, would one person in this area get more as a base living wage than a person in the other, or would they both get the same? And let's say it would be enough for person B but not enough for person A, so person A will throw a fit that they're not getting enough.
For instance, if you live like, let's say over here in Bayview, it costs more to live over here than it does to live on the south side or on the north side. And that's why people buy homes on the north side because they're so cheap.
Right.
But what comes with that is a lot of poverty and crime on the north side too, because
Yeah.
once you go to the north side, you'll just see blocks and blocks of garbage everywhere, and people hanging out on the street corners and everything. So if you don't have enough money to get the housing in Bayview or wherever it may be nicer at like the east side, then you're pretty much just subjecting yourself to a bad environment for you and your family. So if we do raise the minimum wage, how is it going to affect the business that you work for? Like, where are they going to get the money to
Where are they going to get the
give
money?
all this extra money to the people?
So would happen would everything inflate just so much that the dollar would be worth less, which means everybody would be getting paid like the same, but it would be more numbers.
So
Exactly.
essentially,
It's pointless.
it's pointless to
I
raise the
mean, I don't
minimum.
think
Can't
it's
do it.
pointless because eventually the economy would have to adjust.
Well,
The
yeah.
economy isn't just something stable, it's something fluid that moves around a lot.
And then you have to think about it like what you were saying, like what places are offering that minimum wage. You also have to think about what prices they're selling their stuff at.
Right.
It's not high class.
Right.
Yeah, they'll have to profit more to
Right.
give more.
Right. So that would probably mean they'd have to raise their prices and lose clientele.
Would the richer get richer? Probably.